Hello there folks, my name is Ben and welcome back to Shots Fired Airsoft. And today we've got something quite special. This isn't really an unboxing, this is sort of like a first look video. I've been waiting on this a couple of weeks, and this is the, as you can see by the box, the HC Diana. This is a brushless flywheel Nerf pistol. And what's special about this is that we've had an awful lot of flywheelers in the hobby. However, apart from the Pew Pew and FDL, which were very high-end, very expensive bits of technology that used brushless motors and things like Nerf Duino control boards, etc, etc, this is the most affordable version of that kind of technology that we've seen so far. So I paid £160 for this shipped. It's from m416gelblaster.com, and it's yeah, obviously that site originally I thought it wasn't particularly legitimate. However, speaking to some friends, they said they'd ordered stuff from there and had no issues with getting it delivered. So I went on there and this whole package was about £160. I have been in here and had a look just to make sure the battery that they supplied was good and that it was going to work out of the box, just so we didn't have any problems. Not that I've heard particularly loads of issues with them. It's purely a matter of there's no point doing a video on it if it isn't going to work. And where it's a piece of quite, complex tech, it would seem better to do that. Anyway, so the box itself, pretty plain. Got enough on it. There's some warnings on it. It is very much in Chinese. We have got some English translations on it, but it is all just safety stuff. There's no other information. If we go in and just pop the old box open, it's kind of haphazardly foamed up in there. That may be my fault because I did order a couple of extra parts with it, which I'll show you in a second. However, what we have in here is the blaster, a spare magazine, the battery that it comes with, and we also have a spare barrel. Well, it's not a spare barrel, it's an upgraded barrel with a 16mm thread on the front for running tracers, etc, etc, or silencers. So we'll have a look at that in a sec. It does come, this is open because I popped this battery in just to see if it worked. It comes with an Allen key for the battery tray, which is held in place with a little screw. And if I can get that out, there's also a tiny thumb screw, which you can put in place of the Allen bolts. Tiny little thing there, place of the Allen bolt, so that you don't have to use the Allen key to get it out, which is nice and handy and a nice inclusion. People do say that the battery door on this is one of the weaker areas of it, purely just from a ease of use and durability standpoint. Also the fact that you really can't get that bigger a battery in this space is at a premium, because as you can see, it is in fact tiny. It is only about the length of my hand in any direction. So it is a very small form factor pistol considering the power and the functions that it has. It is mag in grip, and these magazines are really quite cool and nice. They're a bit weird because they look like they have no spring in, but it's actually done with a cool spring at the top, which actually unfurls as you fill it up with darts. It's a really cool way of doing it. Nice extended looking base plate with a screw at the back to hold it in place. And I got two of them. There is one black, one in inverted commas, which is very sort of faintly different to the clear one that they supply. It is faintly darker, but it is only a slight tint of black. So not a black magazine as such, but yeah, there are two mags, and then battery. So this is the battery that came with it from M416. I don't know if you buy a Diana with a battery, whether it will definitely come with this battery or whether it will come with other batteries depending on where you buy it from and where they package it, or what battery they package it with. It comes in a cool clear test tube, which is nice, and it is a 4-cell, so this is a 14.8 volts. It will be over 16 when it's fully charged, and it's an 80C 550 milliamp hour, sorry. So yet again, this is a very small battery in terms of capacity. This does chew up quite a lot of juice. It is quite powerful, and especially if you're fully auto firing a lot, it will get through this fairly quick. This battery is a 550 milliamp hour. and it's an 80C, so it will do way over 40 amps continuous, which should be enough to keep the little Diana fed. And again, it's quite unusual to see a 14.8 volt battery in Nerf. Usually we max out around 11.1. Free cell LiPo. This obviously being brushless, and that can handle higher voltages, and it's what gives it a good bit of poke. So let's get on to the blaster itself. I went for the sort of beige lower with the translucent, or see-through, almost entirely transparent upper slide, because I think it looks really cool. You can get varying colours in this. This particular one I went for because I like the idea of being able to see the inner workings, and also if you get it clear, you can in fact paint it inside should you wish to have it be a colour, so you can kind of pick your colour, which is nice. We have two brushless motors, tiny little brushless motors with wheels. We've got a solenoid at the back. It's a solenoid driven pusher system, so when you pull the trigger it is entirely electronic. There is no physical link between the trigger and the firing mechanism, and all it does is it punts the dart out the magazine into the flywheels and spits it out of this wide bore aluminium barrel. You can in fact see right through all the way to the back of the blaster, and we have the two motor control boards either side of the barrel, and it's a really nice snug fit for a hand. My hands are quite big. I have no issues getting my hands around this grip, and obviously also there is room for a 10 dart magazine in there. You can extend these magazines, that is not an issue, so if you want more capacity you can absolutely do that. One of the things I have seen levied or sort of complained about is the trigger. Because there is no mechanical link, it is a fair old amount of trigger travel unnecessarily, and it's a bit not mushy because it has quite a stiff spring behind it, but there is no break point on the trigger, so it is just pull it and see what happens. Once you get used to using it, it isn't the end of the world. There is a lot of delay with the trigger, however there is a way around that, and we'll look at that during the firing. There are two switches, one on each side of the blaster, and the right hand one is your firing selector, so you have safe. Middle selection is single fire, and then all the way forward is full auto. And on this side we have what's called a hot mode switch, so it is either wheels non-spinning, bit of a trigger delay, and then firing, or you can have it set in a mode that spins the motors continuously at a low RPM, so that initial rev up and inertia is removed from the firing process. And what that means is it gives it a much snappier trigger. I'm not going to say it's immediate because it isn't, but it's a lot better than it is just as a standard sort of non-spun kind of standard firing mode. Around the front we have the tiny little battery screw, and that is what we need to remove to get the battery door open. As you can see, it is a bit of a fiddle. It is a tiny little screw which you will lose almost immediately if you aren't paying very close attention. And you pop that off, and we've got an XT30 connector in there, which will enable us to use any hobby battery with an XT30 connector. This will also work on 11.1 volt LiPo. I don't know if you've run into issues trying to run it on any less than that. However, I've got both 3 cell and 4 cell, so when we do the chronograph test, we will see how it performs, and also how it performs on different styles of dart. With that off, we can plug the battery in. There you get a little tone, and we're already in hot mode. You can hear it spinning. So that big 4 cell does fit in there quite snugly. I think we should be able to get our little battery door back on with it in place. Quite okay, and I'm going to put the thumb screw in. And there we are. So you can hear the motors spinning at the moment if I bring it up. And that's what it sounds like in hot mode. So if we take it out of hot mode, you can see the motors stop. And if I put it into single fire, this is the trigger delay. So as you can see, it's really quite dramatic. If we put it into hot mode, you can see how much faster that is. It is almost an immediate response to the trigger, or as about as immediate as this is going to get. Other two things to really point out on it: we've got a really cool power LED at the front, which actually forms the luminous front sight. So although the back has no sort of fake tritium or anything, we do in fact have a lit LED at the front. I don't know if we can make that appear on the camera. Yeah, there you go, you can see that through there. So that makes it a really good sight when you've got it lined up down the sights. It's really good to see. The other thing is, this is set up for an RMR sight. So you have the 2 bolts on the top there, and you can have your little sort of pistol style RMR sight on it, just for a bit of optics. Plus it's going to look really cool on this. The other thing is, there are 4 bolts around the muzzle, which are allowed to fit accessories or just finishing pieces if you want something like a little muzzle, or if you wanted an orange ring, say you're in the States and you need an orange cap on it for legality purposes. There are people who already make 3D printed rings that go on there so that you can have an orange tip. Because this is sort of based on, I want to say, some sort of Hudson or similar pistol. If you look at the general shape of it, obviously it's sort of lessened by the transparent upper. If that was black, it would look very much like a particular pistol. I'll see if I can remember which it is and I'll post it up on the screen. Technically sort of a replica. So again, not the most sensible thing to be running around outside with if it is in darker colours. Apart from that, really cool bit of kit. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to get on to other modes, and this does have a bit of a party trick, and I'm going to show you how that works just now. So obviously the Diana's a brushless blaster, and this gives us, or affords us, some advantages over, say, conventional sort of brush motor flywheelers, in that it is computer controlled and we have far more control over the sort of the operation of the motors. What this means is that the Diana is programmable firing mode enabled, which means that using the switches on the right and left hand sides and a little process, we can change between single, 2 burst and 3 burst firing modes, which is really rather cool. So if we do this out the front, this is a bit of a faff because it requires you to hold the trigger down and put the battery in at the same time. However, if you make sure that the switch on the left hand is all the way to the front, so i.e. not in hot mode, and this switch is in one of the 3 positions, safe being 1 shot, single shot being 2 shot, and full auto being 3 shot, we can actually program the single shot mode to be a triple or a double burst. So if I can try and do this with it set in the 3rd mode, hold the trigger down and try and get this battery connector in. There we are. So here it chimes once the light is solid. If I release the trigger, it flashes, and then we get another chime again. And what that should do now is semi-auto should be a 3-shot burst. So safe, semi-auto. Put it in hot mode. And there we go. So we have a 3-shot burst. You can see the little solenoid there reciprocates about 3 times. You may notice this is really quite quick firing. This is actually, if I just give it a quick spam, about 15 darts per second, which is really quite quick. There are faster firing Nerf blasters. However, like I said, this is it's about 140 pound from M416. Which, when you consider that something like a Pew Pew is around 500 pounds and FDL is several £100s as well, having something this size, this functional, that fires this fast for that kind of money is really quite impressive, and is something that the hobby has needed for quite some time. It's great that people do their own builds, and they often do builds for other people that know how to do it, but getting something like this mass produced is fantastic. So I'm just going to put a couple of rounds through it. Might be a silly idea doing it where I'm sitting, but we'll find out in a sec. We're back in hot mode. We're on single shot, which will be a 3-shot burst, and we're just going to see what it does to this cardboard. I'm going to get him out of the way for the spam. And as you can probably tell by that, we have quite a lot of power in this little pistol. We're looking at about 150 FPS which for something of this size, you could never ever get this out of a air-fed or a sort of you know, an air piston powered blaster in Nerf. It is just too small to get the kind of air that you need to move a dart that fast. The Zinc comes very close. They can hit upwards of 200 FPS, but really if you want something like this with all the functionality and that, the Flywheel is the only way to go. And I can't wait to get this down range. As you can see, we have a little bit of damage on the box there. You're not going to be punching straight through cardboard at 150 FPS, but it's certainly enough to, you will feel it. Trust me, you will feel it if you're about 15 to 20 meters away. So yeah, really cool piece of kit. We'll get on with a firing test and the chronograph, but I wanted to get this video filmed so that I can properly play with this and get it dirty and all that sort of stuff. So brilliant bit of kit, absolutely love it, and looking forward to do the shooting test. So thank you all very much for watching. I've been Ben. It's been the Shots Fired Airsoft video, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one, which might well be the firing test of this. I'm pretty keen.